Hey, what's up? What's up, everybody? This is episode number 17 of the BKJmac Experience, BKJmacTV, hosted by yours truly, JMac. All right, so today is episode 17. I gotta tell you, this has been an amazing journey thus far. I've liked the experience thus far, sharing articles, topics, things that I've seen that I just wanted to share with you guys, my love and caring audience, about stuff that, that impacts our lives, that impacts our friends' lives, families' lives, whatever it is, it has impact, significant impact. And one thing I noticed as I was scrolling is this article that I read on CNN. Basically, it's about this organization which was started in New York and now has slowly expanded nationwide. This program really targets the youth in New York, particularly in low-income communities where violence is prevalent in the inner city. So basically, in this article, it's this group that's trying to connect these youths so they won't get lost in the system. This group is I gotta tell you, is being led by this former Latin Kings gang member named Antonio Fernandez. Again, his name is Antonio Fernandez. This gentleman, this champion of hope and redemption, has taken upon himself and working with many other people in the organization to basically get these young youths that are engaging in violence, that are engaging in crime at such a young age. He's preventing them from getting incarcerated. He's getting them to look at a different path in the world, in their reality. And this article goes in depth with that. So this article, titled, "We Are the Alternative. A growing movement aims to disrupt violence by connecting incarcerated youth with mentors." Articles by Emma Tugger, CNN. So here's the article. Here we go. Wearing the signature black and gold colors of the Latin King street gang he once led, Antonio Fernandez recently walked through the Maria Hernandez Park in the majority Hispanic neighborhood of Bushwick, Brooklyn. It is here that Fernandez, formerly known as King Tone, held gatherings for hundreds of his fellow gang members in the 1990s. On a sweltering July day, Fernandez returned to the park with a new goal: to seek out young men and divert them from the path he once traveled. Instantaneously, he was a leader in one of the Latin King gangs in Bushwick, Brooklyn in the 1990s. He was leading hundreds and hundreds of these youths coming up. And now he's back years later, decades later, to create a massive change, to basically to teach these young men to not engage in gang offenses in their neighborhoods, in their communities. Okay, let's continue. "This was the place where I practiced how to become a better leader," said the 56-year-old Fernandez, a third-generation Puerto Rican who led the Latin Kings in New York from 1995 to 1998. Fernandez was sentenced in 1999 to 13 and a half years in prison after pleading guilty to conspiring to sell narcotics, but served 9.5 years, including 3 years in solitary confinement. So he basically ran the Latin Kings for 3 years in the mid-1990s. He did 9.5 years in prison, and he was supposed to serve 13.5 years. Most likely, he got out on good behavior. He basically reformed. Let's continue. Fernandez approached strangers with ease, part of what he calls mapping. The goal, he says, is to identify young people in need of direction. He was also looking for natural leaders, adults who have the potential to mentor, and youth who are experiencing challenges they once faced: poverty, violence, and drug addiction. I'm going to say it again: poverty, violence, and drug addiction. As U.S. cities struggle to rein in on the sustained rise in gun violence since the onset of the COVID virus pandemic, some officials are turning to intervention programs known as the Credible Messenger Mentoring Movement, CM3. Fernandez is the lead national trainer for CM3, which is expanding youth mentorship and rehabilitative programs in communities across the nation most impacted by violent crime. Basically, this new group, CM3, Credible Messenger Mentoring Movement, CM3, is this new group that I was alluding to earlier in the article that's going into these inner city neighborhoods and basically transforming the lives of these youth and preventing them from engaging in criminal behavior and basically putting them in the path of success. Let's continue. CM3 partners with government agencies and community groups, providing them with a model to recruit, train, and deploy credible messengers so they can have a transformative impact on youth in the criminal justice system or at risk of incarceration. Clinton Lacey, who founded CM3 in Washington, D.C. in 2021, defines credible messengers as natural leaders rooted in the communities they serve. They become credible by drawing on their shared life experiences in the justice system and in their communities to leverage trust and build relationships with young people and families. So Clinton Lacey, who founded the CM3 in 2021, has basically created a new national model for mentors who've been in the system, who've been incarcerated, who's been locked up, who's basically turned their lives around, who have sought redemption. Now there are the cornerstones that's going to lead the new group out there on these streets who are engaging in criminality and who's trying to prevent them from engaging in that direction into a positive direction. So big ups to Clinton Lacey on this one. You know, Mr. Lacey is really committing to his community by building such an organization of this nature to make sure that these types of these youths don't engage in such crimes such as violence and whatever, so that way they won't get locked up at such a young age. You know, right now our criminal justice system is broken, and the system is really broken to basically help black and brown youths who are stuck in the inner city engage in criminal activity. You know, right now it needs to be better. And CM3, which is being led by Clinton Lacey, is answering that bell. He states, "We are demonstrating that if you invest in the communities that have traditionally been seen as a source of the problem or pathology, that if you shift the focus from seeing them as negative actors who produce problems, it's clear that within these communities are people with expertise and solutions. That's what the credible messenger represents," said Lacey. Credible messengers, a term that traces back to Eddie Ellis, a former member of the Black Panther Party, have existed for decades in various forms. Ellis developed the concept while incarcerated in a New York State prison in the 1970s and 1980s for a murder he didn't commit. He recognized that people with insider knowledge of the criminal justice system can be powerful mentors, helping to heal trauma and address the root causes of violence. Yes, Mr. Ellis, who was wrongfully accused and wrongfully arrested and wrongfully forced to serve a sentence that he did not need to, basically created this concept in the 70s, and now Mr. Lacey and Mr. Fernandez are using it to help the generation that's at risk today, that are engaging in violent crimes and actions in our communities. Inspired by Ellis, Lacey says the CM3's objective is to transform systems and institutions that have for so long acted in a racially desperate way towards black and brown people. CM3 was born from the success of other credible messenger programs. One of them is Arches, which Lacey helped to establish in 2012. During his time as Deputy Commissioner of the New York City Probation Department, the city became the first to employ a mentoring program that connects high-risk youth people on probation ages 16 to 24 to mentors with similar life experiences. This program proved to be highly effective in reducing reductive rates among young people by teaching life skills, building trusting relationships, and changing behavior patterns. Basically, making them be more aware of their rights and who they are in society so they won't get caught up in the system at such a young age. In 2021, Lacey founded CM3 in Washington, D.C. Central to CM3 model is a 35-hour intensive training curriculum and a long-term commitment by credible messengers who are expected to continue their relationship with youth and their families long after the mentees transition out of the justice system. The training program incorporates research from both medical and mental health fields. Teaching courses focus on the impact of trauma on the adolescent brain development as well as crisis intervention and conflict resolution. One of the courses is titled The Art of Science and Hope, which is informed by Arizona State University Center for the Advanced Study and Practice of Hope. The institute is directed by Dr. Phil Miller, who has trained CM3 leadership on the importance of teaching hopefulness to children and encouraging them to plan for goals, future opportunities, and life challenges. So basically, this is getting really rooted in the college system to basically teach these young youths that, listen, there's another way. There is another way, and you do not need to go down this route of criminality. There's a better way, and they're fixing it. Especially with the creation of CM3, they're fixing it. Credible messengers reduce reactivism. Study shows these kids were dealt a bad hand. A bad hand is also a system that is broken, a system that sets them up for failure. Fernandez told a group of 1,000 credible messengers gathered for a 4-hour training session in July in Jersey City. Standing alongside Fernandez, Lacey told the group, for a system that is historically broken, what's the alternative? We are the alternative. Lacey says that the credible messenger approach can change the trajectory of at-risk youth and turn communities around. New York City officials seemingly agree, bringing in CM3 leadership to join Mayor Eric Adams' Public Safety Transition Committee to recommend safety actions he should take during his first 100 days in office. CM3 was also supported by Congressman Aldado Esperado, Democrat, New York, to receive $530,000 in federal community project funding. I feel like it should have been more. It should have been $2 million, but I'm just saying. Over the past year, CM3 has expanded to Jackson, Mississippi, Houston, Seattle, Orlando, Florida, Jersey City, New Jersey, and Los Angeles. Its leaders are also working to implement their program in juvenile facilities in Los Angeles County, Alameda County, and South Carolina's Department of Juvenile Justice, according to Lacey. So basically, CM3 is expanding into all these states and cities to ensure that youths across the nation have a mentor to help guide them and help steer them away from violent offenses and into more productive members in society, definitely. This growing interest in the program is a result of the proven success of this ARCH program and the elements of that program that inspired the CM3 framework. A study conducted by the Urban Institute between November 2015 and June 2017 found that this program participants had a 69% lower felony reconviction rate within 12 months of starting probation. Within 24 months, the rate remained 57% lower than a group of young people who did not participate in the study. The decision by New York City to become the first government agency to employ credible messengers under this program is a recognition of the national limitation that an agency like probation limitations that the agency like probation has in terms of reaching young people who distrust government and other entities, and those who have been failed by other adults in their lives, said Anna B., commissioner of the New York City Probation Department, in an interview with CNN. This just gives us more opportunities to not lose young people to incarceration, to the streets, and to be able to rechannel them and tap into their potential more effectively, Ms. B said. Working with the system. As the lead national trainer for CM3, Fernandez has trained staff in probation departments, courts, detention centers, and other agencies which have legal authority over the young people that CM3 trained credible messengers serve. Fernandez manages a team of CM3 trained credible messengers within a juvenile rehabilitation facility called the New Beginners Youth Development Center in Washington, D.C., which is run by the District of Columbia Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services. So basically, he's in charge of that department in Washington, D.C., the CM3. He states, I do my rounds at New Beginnings every week. I see my kids, I see my staff, I make sure that everybody is accountable and is doing what was instructed, Fernandez said. Lacey became the director of DYRS in 2015 and helped to establish an initiative that included core features of ARCH, but expanded mentoring services to the families of youth as well, basically helping the families out as well. It was another program inspired by the creation of CM3. This, honestly, I will tell you this. This article is just so intense. It's so intense. It's just the story is so intense. It's just so intense. Let me continue more into this. CM3's trained credible messengers at New York Beginners participate in group counseling sessions with youth and therapists and attend staff meetings that review juvenile cases and track their progress. They work closely with facility officers, administrators, and mental health staff to share insights on these cases, offer solutions for a child's rehabilitation, participate in meetings to discuss whether a child is ready to return home. CM3's trained credible messengers also work with youth who are being court supervised by probation officers as they navigate the justice process. This includes accompanying youth to court appearances, communicating with their probation or parole officer, and ensuring they comply with court mandates. Mr. McCliff, 25, arrived at New Beginnings when he was 16 years old after being charged with assault with a deadly weapon. McCluver says he started acting out after he was diagnosed with learning disabilities in elementary school. His first arrest took place when he was in 9th grade, and he soon began hanging out with older kids who introduced him to firearms, he says. McCulver, who is Muslim, said his mentor first taught him about his religion and would help him read the Quran, which made him feel more comfortable to open up about his family and the struggles he faced. My mentor told me about his time in jail, the harsh experience he had encountered while in there, McCulver said. He told me, I spent decades watching my kids grow up without me. The thing I love the most, I had to leave it. It is worth it. After McCulver left New Beginnings when he was 18, his mentor helped him gain financial literacy, create his resume, and prepare for interviews. When he was offered a job at a local hospital, McCulver mentor brought him clothes and transported him to work during his first 2 weeks until his first paycheck. Now McCulver is a credible messenger himself. An incredible messenger himself. Basically, since they gave him a second chance, CM3 gave him a second chance. And because of that second chance, he was able to become a productive member of society. And now he's giving back to the community, and that's what it's supposed to be about. You got to give back to your community. It is important to give back to your community. Fernandez, who became one of the big leaders of CM3, he states, I didn't have a broken home, I had a poor home. Fernandez, who grew up in a Catholic family in East New York with 4 sisters, said he didn't have a broken home. I had a poor home. His father worked over 12 hours a day, which allowed Fernandez to roam the streets. He says that freedom led him on a path to selling drugs at a young age. He said freedom led him on a path to selling drugs at a young age. Freedom, meaning there was no activities, there was no tool, there was no development for him, and he was just young. There's so much freedom. Fernandez joined the Latin King gang when he was 19 years old while he was serving time in Rikers Island prison for drug possession. Members of the gang who were in prison with Fernandez taught him about his Puerto Rican heritage and how to read. I found healing in the place where I had the most trauma of my life, he said. It really confused me that I found healing in the jail and not in school, not in my own neighborhood. And he was shocked by this. He felt like jail really was the place that transformed his mindset, and not from his own neighborhood, not from his own community. And that's usually the case half the time, not all the time, but it needs to be more apparent out there. Definitely a connecting source, definitely. When Fernandez left prison in 92, he says he was intent on reforming his fellow gang members. He wanted to engage them politically on issues important to Hispanic communities. While many of his gang members supported his mission, others resisted and decided to leave. Fernandez believed that if young people have support systems that relieve the oppression they face, their aggravation that leads to violence starts to diminish. If he never felt understood or loved, now he knows it because you relieve him. You give him mental health services, shelter, and food, he said. While at Maria Hernandez Park, Fernandez walked up to a teenage boy who was doing pull-ups at the park gym. With a big smile on his face, Fernandez gave him his business card and encouraged him to reach out if he ever needs anything. You see, I'm comfortable talking with strangers, he said. That's what I practice, being able to talk to kids and engage with them. That's where I'm comfortable the most. That's just my reality. And that is Mr. Fernandez's reality. Him giving back to the youths out there in the inner city, giving them hope that there's people out there helping him. CM3 is out there, and they're doing the damn thing. They're making sure at a high level, they're making sure that the youths who get caught up in the criminal justice system get the help they need, so they won't be reoffenders in their societies and their communities. This was an interesting article, and then I wanted to share with you guys. Tell me what you think, if you like it or not. Definitely. This was indeed very powerful. Thank you for listening. Peace, love, as always. One.